Hey, I'm Courtney Waterman, your tutor. Lover of anime, manga, and math. And you just tuned into another session of Tutor Me Sempai. Welcome back, everyone. Today we're back with some more hints and tips for the math section of the PSAT. Today's video, we're going to be just talking about some overall tips and hints that can really help you save some time as you're speeding through that PSAT. Since these are overall hints, we're not going to be doing much on the whiteboard, but I do recommend you take your notes as applicable. If you're new to my channel, I'll be putting time codes in for this video in the description box below, so you can skip ahead to whatever part of this video interests you the most. If you have any question about what you see here today, or even your own homework, remember you can put them in the comment box below, or visit me on Facebook at Tutor Me Sempai and tell me all about it there. The overall tips and hints that I have for you are going to be broken up into two videos. So this video and then my next week video will kind of wrap up the entire series on this PSAT for you. So if you like what you've seen so far, remember to hit that like button, smash the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and share this video with a friend. Well, without further ado, let's get into some more hints. So the first tip that I have for you is prioritize your questions. This is going to be true for any test, but especially true for the PSAT because all questions are created equal. They're all worth the same amount of points, so getting stuck on one is not the most ideal. Prioritize your questions. There will naturally be some subjects that you're stronger in and some that you're weaker in. So I would recommend if you read through your math section and you find all those questions that you feel really strong about, attack those first. That does a few things. Not only does it save time as you're answering because you know what you're doing, but it also builds confidence. And this is why this is going to be important for any test you take. Go through your test and figure out what you know first, because you don't want to start off on a bad foot because that starts to discourage you. So if you start off on a good foot, you've already built your confidence and then you can go into more of the test thinking that, hey, I have this. So make sure you prioritize your questions. Start with the strong topics, what you feel strong about, and then leave those weaker ones for afterwards. So the second tip I have for you guys is make sure you don't leave any questions blank. This is especially true for the PSAT because you don't get penalized for any wrong answers. So not only are they all worth the same, there's no penalty for getting it wrong, so you might as well put an answer for every question. So as you're going through multiple choice especially, you have 3 to 4 different options you can choose from, so make sure that you put something down. I recommend if you're running out of time especially, get some educated guesses in because that can only potentially help you and not hurt you. Guessing on open-ended questions are going to be a little bit more difficult, so make sure you save a little bit of time for those open-ended questions so you can make sure you have a little bit of wiggle room before the time runs out, but especially true for those multiple choice, make sure you don't leave any one of them blank. The third tip I have for you guys is, and this is something that I've learned from experience, learn from my mistakes. Make sure you're answering the right question. And what I mean by that is, make sure if you're going through your test and you're trying to get your strong topics first and you're skipping over those weaker ones, when you go back, make sure that you actually answered the right question. When I was younger, I actually skipped some questions, and when I went back, I didn't catch that I filled in my bubbles for the wrong ones. I didn't actually skip the questions when I filled in the bubbles, but I skipped it when I was actually doing the math. So my math did not equal my answers, essentially, because my questions were all wrong. I had shifted it down or up one, I can't remember which one, but I shifted it up one and I messed up my entire test. So make sure you answer the correct question. It's okay to skip, and when you're running out of time, when you're going fast, it's possible that you might fill in the wrong one by accident. So just make sure you double check as you're speeding through. That's going to save you time and a lot of mistakes and headaches if you would just make sure you double check that you filled in the right bubble for the right question. The fourth tip I have for you guys is make sure you answer the right question. Now, I know I just said that, but this has a different context. I assure you, I'm not just repeating myself to drive home a point. This time, when I say make sure you answer the right question, make sure if the question asks for what is x squared, you don't stop at just x. If the question asks for a plus b, and you find a and you find b, you don't forget to add them to give the answer. There are a lot of times that these questions on the PSAT are like 2 parts. They have to find something first, the basic information first, and then you have to do something to that next. So you can potentially stop early thinking you answered the question because you did all this work and you realize you didn't actually answer the question. You answered the question in your head, but not the question that they asked you. So make sure you take the time and you realize you're answering the right question and not the question you think they're asking. There's gonna be nothing more frustrating than getting all that work, getting 90% of the way in, and realizing you answered the wrong question. So the fifth and last tip I have for this video is going to be something that's going to kind of give you some mental stability. But in order to do this last tip, you really need to practice on your own before your PSAT. So you got to find all these PSAT practice exams that you can find online and really practice. And the fifth tip is going to be pace yourself. And as you're pacing yourself, make sure that if you are going too slow, you skip ahead. Don't get stuck. Make sure that you skip ahead. So keep pace and don't be afraid to move on. So what do I mean by that? Well, you're going to have set amount of time for the non-calculated portion and the calculated portion. And before you even begin, they tell you how much time and how many questions you have. And you'll see this as you practice. So what I recommend is as you're practicing, if you want any time left over, if you just want to make sure you have buffer time to go back and check some answers that you may have felt a little less confident about, make sure you calculate how much extra time you're going to need, subtract that from the total time that they give you for that section, and then divide that new number by how many answers you have. That's going to tell you how much time each answer should take you. So if you realize you're taking more time than necessary, force yourself to move on. Don't get stuck. You want to make sure you hit every question. Remember, don't leave anything blank. And all questions are created equal. That means they all worth the same amount of points. So make sure you pace yourself, and if you're taking too much time for one, skip ahead. Force yourself, push yourself forward. Don't stop, because you want to make sure that every question gets an answer before they say time's up. So those are going to be the first 5 tips that I have for you as far as the overall tips when you're talking about both the non-calculated and the calculated portion of the math section of your PSAT. If anything I said confused you, or if you have any questions about what I said, be sure to put them in the comment box below. And remember, if you have any question about your own homework you'd like to see on this channel, feel free to visit me on Facebook at Tutor Me Sempai and tell me all about it there. If you have any other tips that you thought really helped you, or as you're doing your prep work that you want to let other people know about, be sure to put them in the comment box below. I might do some special features in my last video if there's any questions or even comments that pertain to that video. If you like what you see here today, or if you've been following along with this series, make sure that you leave that like. It really helps the channel and is greatly appreciated. And if you want to keep up with the content I'm dropping every week, make sure you hit the notification bell and smash the subscribe button. And while you're at it, share this video with a friend. Well, that's all the time I have for today. I'm really hoping this helped your PSAT prep. I'm looking forward to seeing you again next week. I'm Courtney. This is Group. And this is another session of Tutor Me Sempai.